It seems like almost yesterday, but it's not. The year is 1979 and we're a couple years past the phenomena that is Star Wars. And I am a 15-year-old and super eager to watch anything on TV or in the theater that is somewhat similar. Television producer Glen Larson's first foray into epic sci-fi TV was Battlestar Galactica. Sadly, that show was canceled after just one season. Fortunately for all of us, Glen Larson is not discouraged. He's got another project that he's working on for another network, NBC, called Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. It's preceded by a feature film with the same actors. I still remember going to our local theater with my dad to see the movie. I was so excited because he usually was a stickler about only seeing G-rated movies, and Buck Rogers, much like Star Wars before it, was rated PG. I wasn't sure why the old man decided to take me to it, but hey, I wasn't arguing. One of the actors in Buck Rogers was Erin Gray. In both the movie and the TV show, she portrayed Colonel Wilma Deering. Already a well-respected fashion model, this particular role was truly Gray's opportunity to make the jump from magazines and TV commercials and become a bona fide star. And Erin did such a great job in playing the role. Sure, as Wilma Deering, she was beautiful and sexy, but she was also a strong woman who didn't take crap from anyone, especially Gil Gerard's Buck Rogers. Because of the strong character that she played, Gray has always seen herself as something of a role model for young women. A few years ago she said this, "I inspired other women to be strong. It's a certain legacy that I have that I am honored to have been part of." On the TV show, Deering is clearly Buck Rogers' object of affection. However, from time to time, Pamela Hensley's Princess Ardala would make an appearance, and then she was relegated to the role of Space Girl Next Door. Much like the Marianne and Ginger debate, Wilma and the Princess, well, they both have their fans. One has to think that if you're in the Ginger camp, well, you're likely in the Ardala camp as well. As for me, I was always more fond of Marianne. So Buck Rogers ran for 2 seasons. So the second season was a retooling of the show where Buck and Wilma were traveling through the universe in their very own starship with a bird guy named Hawk. The scripts were more serious, and as a result, well, I'm going to say it, less fun. I talk about that second season in another video. I'll put a link at the end of this video to that one, just in case you're interested. But that first season, boy oh boy, was it something special, for oh so many reasons. Awesome special effects, wonderful, wonderful guest stars, and of course there was Twiki. Yep, I know his head was shaped funny, I don't care. He was portrayed to perfection by actor Felix Silla, with vocal honors being done by the legendary Mel Blanc. This show had so much going for it. And Erin Gray, well, she was a big part of the show's formula for success. I really did love that show, so much so that I bought the novelizations and the comic book, which wasn't from DC or Marvel, but Gold Key instead. And yes, whenever possible, I would head on up to our local 7-Eleven and play the pinball machine, which was there for about 6 months. Anyway, getting back to Erin. After Buck Rogers, Erin found herself starring opposite Kenny Rogers, yes, the gambler himself, in a fun little movie called Six Pack. If you haven't seen this film, I bet you can almost figure out the plot just by looking at these photos. And yep, Erin was the love interest. So the next thing that I remember Erin in was that Ricky Schroeder sitcom Silver Spoons, which ran from 1982 until 1987. As I think back, I probably should have enjoyed this show more. It was, after all, the story of a man who cherished his youth and really didn't want to grow up. But truthfully, I wasn't all that big of a fan of that show. Still, Erin was in it, so I would watch it from time to time. And I also have to admit that I wasn't a huge fan of the Friday the 13th movies. I think I quit watching them after the second one. So I really can't comment on whether Erin was any good or not in the 9th film in that series. What I do know, or at least suspect, is that her character might not have fared all that well. That darn Jason Voorhees. Seriously, can't someone just make this monster go away for good? Anyway, here's what you need to know. Erin found steady work throughout the 90s in both TV and motion pictures. And she continues to find work even today. One of my favorite cameo roles of Erin's in recent years was when she made an appearance on the web series Star Trek Continues as Commodore Gray. So if you're a Star Trek fan and you haven't checked out Star Trek Continues, well, you really should. It is a wonderful fan-created web series that is an absolutely faithful recreation of the original Star Trek television series. I believe all of the episodes can be watched on YouTube. Aside from the different actors, who by the way are very good at capturing the spirit of Shatner, Nimoy, and Kelly, you'll swear that you are watching the original series. It's just that good. And speaking of web-based entertainment, both Gray and Gil Gerard returned to the world of Buck Rogers by playing his parents on a failed web series from a few years back. The project was never completed, but you can find that scene right there in the upper right-hand corner with both Gray and Gerard on YouTube. More recently, Erin has lent her talents to a Hallmark Channel original movie titled A Perfect Christmas. I've got to admit that I'm a sucker for this particular type of film. Sure, they are all pretty much carbon copies of each other, but hey, the formula works, at least for me. Fans wanting to connect with Erin in real time are likely to find her at various Comic-Cons and other events like that. From everything that I've heard, Erin is an absolute delight to visit with and well worth standing in whatever line may have formed around her table. And every once in a while these events allow Erin to reconnect with this wonderful friend. Yep, Mr. Gil Gerard himself. I love these two pictures side by side. Sure, the couple on the right is a little bit older, but you can see there's a comfortable warmth that really isn't there on the more staged photo on the left. One other thing worth mentioning, Erin's appearances at these events shouldn't come as much of a surprise because she is the CEO of a company called Heroes for Hire, where she helps celebrities connect with fans all over the world. Yep, the next time you hear that Tom Welling or LeVar Burton or Erin Gray is making an appearance at some sort of event, well, it's probably due to the efforts of Heroes for Hire. Alright, that's it. Let's wrap this thing up with a picture of both Wilma and Ralla. Who was your favorite, the Colonel or the Princess? Please share your memories in the comments section below, and while you're at it, why not subscribe to my YouTube channel? I talk about music, movies, and television, mostly from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching.